Well, it looks good there.
He looks great, brother. And this is the response you want. And look at Del Toro stands up applauding him.
Oh, the Toro is there on the panel.
Oh, yeah, he's on the panel, bro.
This
This
is
is a Del
unusual.
Toro live stream today, yeah. Del Toro's lost some weight. Look at how happy he looks.
It's funny because they look like cousins or something.
Wow. That's pretty awesome, man. I'm telling you, that probably would have been the price of the whole weekend for me. The price of admission, like that would have been worth it, man. Being there. I love that. Look, Del Toro's like, look at the man, right, with his hand gestures, and then Luca's like, yeah, I guess I am.
Have a seat, gentlemen. Come on. Love you, George. Welcome to our audience. Welcome to our panel.
I mean, I think people are still on cloud 9, right? Look.
Sorry, what does 50 years of love sound like?
50 years of love sound like? Silence.
Excellent. What does 50 years of love sound like?
Yeah.
Just checking. Just wanted to make sure George has that on the clip if he needs it. All right. I feel so lucky. Somebody pitched me to be sitting here. Besides being a sci-fi nerd myself, I'm just so happy to be here to support two of my closest friends, George and his wife, Melody. This is such a historic moment, not just because it's George's first time at Comic-Con, not just because he brought the big guns with him, but because this is the very first time George has done a personal show and tell of the new museum.
I mean, that's wild. Think about that, man. He's never been to a Comic-Con. 2020. Has he been to the Star Wars celebrations?
Oh man, I think he has made it to a Star Wars celebration.
Okay,
and sometimes
all right.
he has like a recorded, thing.
Oh, recorded, but that's not the same. But I mean, it's still cool that he does that, but that's not the same, right?
No.
Yeah. This is historic, man. This is everything for us.
The new Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. This place, it is incredible. It's chock full of pieces that George has been collecting over 50 years. I'm talking original character sketches, original matte paintings, illustrations. So watch very closely because this little video you're about to see for the very first time, we're revealing some of those pieces that'll be on display. So without further ado, it is my great pleasure.
Do we want to see in this video?
Sure. I just don't know why all this time this Comic-Con things, why can't they like hook up their mics to like the video feed?
I don't think this is the actual San Diego. This is somebody right here. Black Film and TV.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. But they still don't do that.
No,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
What is narrative art to you, and when did you first fall in love with it?
Well, I've been collecting art since I was in college, and back when I was in college, which is sort of near the Stone Age, the idea is that I couldn't really afford real art. I love all art, no matter what it is, but I could afford comic art because in those days it was underground, and it was you sort of had to know people to get find out where there was a sort of the auction that was sent out on a mimeograph sheet and had some prices and names of art. And so I've been sort of collecting narrative art ever since then, because in college I could get an alley oop for $30, and because the comics were expensive, but the original art wasn't that expensive because it was harder to come by.
So yeah, like we have no control of the sound audio, so hopefully you can hear it along with us. I know they turned up the gain, but it's okay. But we do apologize. This is not our. We have no control over this. But can you hear Fletcher? Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can barely hit him, but
Okay.
it's coming in low.
So do we want to change it up and try to find another?
Everything I heard so far from this thing had horrible audio.
It's the same thing. All right. Well, let's just keep going then. All right.
And
You managed to collect upwards of 40,000 pieces of art.
yeah, I've been doing this for 50 years now. And then it occurred to me that what am I going to do with it all? Because I refuse to sell it. I'm not one of the typical high art collectors who buys and then you come back 5 years later and you say, what happened to that painting you bought? That was so beautiful. Well, I sold it for $10 million. I made a lot of money on it. I said, I could never do that. It's not what I think art is.
He just sells his own stuff. But I'm bummed, sorry.
I think it's more about a connection, an emotional connection with the work, not how much it cost or what celebrity did it or whatever. It's more a personal thing. And I don't think it's anything that anybody else can tell you. That's art. That's not art. It doesn't work that way. If you have an emotional connection, then it's art. If you don't, then just move on to the next painting. And it's the idea that people can tell you what art is and talk about it. I've discovered just from my experience of making movies and things that, other people's opinions don't mean much. The only thing that really means something is what you do and what you feel about it. And then if you see that other people react to it in a very emotional way, then you say, well, I did my job. That was good. But when people...
What do you think of that? Fletch?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that there? What are your thoughts on that?
I didn't quite catch what he's said.
He basically said, it doesn't matter what other people think about your art. It's what you get out of it. And if people react emotionally, you've done your job.
Yeah, I mean, that's, he's been adamant and very vocal about how he likes to view his art. And I agree with him. I think a lot of fans just are frustrated that, it's like we're just seeing some of his art kind of get tarnished, and he should, it's almost like we're asking what happened to that, right?
Well, and it's clearly here he's very healthy and he's got his wits about him.
Right.
It's like, yo, buy your stuff back.
They say they're experts and they say, oh, that's not art, that's not this. That's tough. And I've worked with hundreds of illustrators in my life, and they're all great, but they don't get recognized for anything. So this is sort of a temple to the people's art.
Okay, so he's talking about his museum, right?
Temple to the people's art.
Yeah.
Guillermo, you have some feelings about narrative art as well.
Well, yeah, I think the beauty of art is twofold: is to hint at a mystery and provide eloquence and emotion. And I think that when you have those two things and you realize that there is, once photography enters the picture, a lot of the art that is figurative starts to be looked frowned upon a lot more historically. And yet you realize that it is an art that captures a moment and an emotion for many, many people, that is always able to express things that are not just propaganda once it's liberated from church and state. And particularly many of the pieces we have that celebrate freedom or anarchy. I mean, Crazy Cat, certainly. Comics were the first one to punch Nazis before movies. EC Comics.
Thoughts there?
Oh man.
You think he's getting a little too political?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's always the same. They always got to drag everything into like the political circus, and it's just like it's so tiring. Just tell us about how cool the monster is, how much TIE fighters are gonna have.
Well, I think he started off like like mystery and emotion, right? That's what he said, and then he's but then he's going to well, comics were the first to be political and punch Nazis. It's like, oh, come on.
No.
A lot of
The funny thing, he talks about propaganda, and those were propaganda comics.
Does about yeah, he does.
So it's like those were paid by the U.S. government. So where's the anarchy in that?
Where's the anarchy in that?
Where's the anarchy in that? Is it?
Or at the same time than movies and so forth. And you have graffiti. You have many of the popular mimeograph forms of art that do that. They are not dominated, and the museum, what is important for me or what is magical is not a man and his collection, is a lineage of images. A lineage of images that have been spoken, and we as storytellers and visual storytellers, we have that vocabulary to see where that thing came from, the etymology of that image. And when you think about that, Noam Chomsky said, the limit of your language is the limit of your universe. If you cannot name something, you cannot own it. The same is true for images. And what is amazing about this collection, it will give you step by step how a form of expression came to inform what we are today. Because we are in a critical moment in which one of the things they like to disappear is the past. And this is memorializing a popular, vociferous, expressive, and eloquent moment in our visual past that belongs to all of us, and the museum celebrates this.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I want to. I do have a real interest in seeing this museum now.
No, the museum sounds cool. It's just interesting that he would add that, the stuff doesn't belong to anybody. Like it's all like in history, so it doesn't belong to anybody. And you're basically doing for the most litigious two companies the world has ever seen that go after creators if they even tried to make something that's like the stuff that you guys like. It's like, well, if it's that way, give it to the people. And imagine if they would say, George Lucas says, you know what, I'm taking Star Wars back. I'll give it to all my fans. Make your own Star Wars. It's I'm going to put it in the public record, right? And imagine all the fun things that fans can make. But it's almost like you're hiding behind their multi-billion-dollar corporations that sues anybody who tries to make something that even looks like their stuff.
Interesting take. All right. That's good takes, man.
You compare narrative art to rock and roll.
Yeah.
How so?
Well,
You compared narrative art to rock and roll. That's the question.
You have every institution. If you look for illustration museum or illustrated narrative art museums, they're tiny places here and there. The declaration of principle that the size, scope, and majesty of this building say is basically this exists as an art form, and it changes so minutely. Everybody here can argue who inks Jack Kirby better, Simon and Kirby or Royer and Kirby, and it changes. That's how much is important. The size of the building is a temple that says this is an important thing. This is the clear art. Imagine for a moment that all we had was classical music and non-melodic music, and rock and roll had never been enshrined in a proper way as an art form. This is what this is doing. He's saying this is rock and roll. and it needs to be enshrined.
Okay, so you know what? He's 100%. I'm 100% with that. It's talking about the rock and roll aesthetic, the punk aesthetic, in modern time that was created by the African American jazz musicians in New Orleans in the 20s. I mean, forever they weren't considered. It wasn't considered real music. Louis Armstrong was not considered an American genius for a long time. So I love that. I'm a huge origin of modern time, modern music, music fan in general. And then punk music was the, the younger brother saying, screw your music. I got this music. I love that too. So I love what he's saying here. And then as I said, this building is our rock and roll. This is saying we're just as good. That's cool. That kind of speaks to my language a little bit there, Fletch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go on.
I landed at LAX the other day, which is LA's airport, and you're able to actually see this temple from the sky.
Oh, okay.
Unbelievable. But we'll talk.
So it's at the LAX, the museum?
I think around the area, right? I mean, I just saw pictures of it.
Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. Exposition. Oh, I see what you said. Okay, so
yeah, they have like pieces of it. I think
it's not, but you can see it. I know what she's talking about. So if you're coming in east to west, you go over LA, and the part of LA that you go over is South Central LA, and you see very clearly the LA Memorial Coliseum, USC, those buildings. You can see them very closely. You can see the big, and the Lucas Museum is right next to it. That's cool. And let me show you what she means. Oh, which is cool, man. Hey, it is what that. And I always kind of, when I fly back from a trip, I've been away from home, from LA for a minute. It's like I can see the familiar images, downtown, Coliseum, and this apparently is right next to the Coliseum, man.
Yeah, those are the renderings, right?
Yeah, that's the renderings, but that is wild. Okay.
I guess he's gonna have like some comic stuff. He's gonna have his like Frida Kahlo collection and stuff like that. Some old comics.
Hey, Sanders, this is a completely different stream that I would love to talk about. But I don't want to stop. Let's get back to George. But you bring up some good points. All right. Go.
About that later. I was just blown away. Doug, I would like to ask you about, because you have a very, very.
I want to. No offense to Doug. I just want to. Let's go to some George. How about that? That's fair enough.
Anything you'd like to add, George?
Well, this museum is dedicated to the idea that stories, mythology, any kind of story that is written to affect people and to build community is extremely important to society and creating societies and creating community. Art illustrates that story. And that's the right hand of building a community is you need the art to make it seem real. Even, back in the whether it's the Renaissance or the Stone Age, you'll always have a story that people believe. It's mythology. It's not really true, but people believe it, and it binds them together with a common belief system. That common belief system is what is really important. And what we're doing here with the museum is to try to make people aware of the mythology that we live by, and at the same time, let them have an emotional experience looking at art that does tell the modern mythology. And as Doug pointed out, it's a more of an exact science than people think it is. And it's a way, the art part of it, is a way of making it really accessible to people and make it so they believe it.
What do people have to say in the chat? I think this is a wonderful thing. I'm actually getting excited to see it.